You know that feeling, right? You are absolutely sure about something, and then, bam, you find out you were totally wrong. It's frustrating, to say the least. But what if the reason we mess up so much isn't just bad luck, or that our brains are broken? What if it's actually a fundamental mismatch in how our minds are built? We're going to dive deep into this, using a classic philosophical puzzle from René Descartes to figure out the very anatomy of why we're wrong. So this is the big, brilliant, and kind of troubling question Descartes tackles. And it really is a paradox, isn't it? I mean, think about it. If you were created by a perfect, all-powerful, all-knowing being, wouldn't you expect yourself to be, a little more perfect? But we're not. We stumble around making mistakes all the time. So, what gives?
All right, so to even start figuring out why we're so imperfect, Descartes says we first have to lock down a key idea about our creator.
And his logic here is actually pretty powerful. He basically says, look, things like deception, lying, fraud, they're all signs of a weakness, some kind of flaw or imperfection. A being that's supremely perfect, well, it just can't have any flaws. It's like a perfect circle can't have a wobbly edge. So it follows that God can't be a deceiver. It's just not in his nature to trick us or build us to fail.
Okay, so that just makes the puzzle even deeper, right? If God is good and didn't design us with a faulty system for judging things, then where on earth do all these mistakes come from? The problem can't be with the manufacturer, so it's got to be something about how we, the users, are operating the machinery.
So to figure this out, Descartes looks inward. He says, hey, let's break down what's actually going on in our minds. He pinpoints two key inner powers that are always at play whenever we form a judgment or decide to believe something.
Okay, first up is what he calls the understanding, or your intellect. The best way to think about this is like your mind's eye. It's the part of you that just sees ideas. It takes in information. It might see the concept of a triangle or hear an argument, but it doesn't say yes or no to it. It just perceives. That's its whole job.
But, and this is absolutely crucial, our understanding is finite. It's limited. There's a whole ocean of stuff out there that we just don't know and maybe can't ever know. Our mental vision has a horizon line, and we just can't see past it.
Now, the second power is the will, and this is your freedom of choice. This is the active part. It takes those ideas that your intellect perceives and it makes a move. It's the part that says, yep, that's true, or nope, that's false. It's your power to actually form a belief and commit to it.
And here's the wild part. Unlike our limited understanding, Descartes says his will feels, infinite. It's totally unlimited, unbounded. He actually argues that this incredible, infinite freedom to choose is the one part of us that's most like God.
So, let's put this all together. This is the setup, the core of the whole problem. On one hand, you've got a limited, finite ability to actually know things. On the other hand, you've got this powerful, infinite ability to choose what you believe. And here's the thing. Neither of these powers is broken on its own. God gave you a perfect will and a perfectly fine, if limited, intellect. So, where's the glitch?
Well, as Descartes discovers, the fault isn't in the parts themselves. It's all about the mismatch between them. It's about how we use that incredible freedom.
And boom, there it is, the source of all our mistakes. Error, according to Descartes, is basically an accident. It happens when our massive, unbounded will totally outruns our little, limited understanding. We let our freedom leap way beyond what we actually know, making judgments about stuff our intellect just hasn't gotten a clear look at yet.
So think about what this means. We aren't deceived. We go wrong by choice. When our intellect sees something that's kind of foggy or incomplete, our desire for an answer kicks in, and our will just jumps the gun. We say yes or no to things we simply don't have the data for. That rush to judgment, that right there is the source of every single error we make.
But here's the really cool part. The beauty of this diagnosis is that it also gives us the cure. I mean, if you know exactly how you're making mistakes, you can learn how to stop making them. So how do we actually do this?
It boils down to this, the rule for truth. You have to restrain your will so it stays inside the limits of your knowledge. Simple, right? But it's all about discipline. If your intellect hasn't grasped something with absolute clearness and distinctness, you have to stop yourself from making a judgment. You have to train yourself to say, you know what? I don't know enough about this yet.
Now, you might think this is about being less free, right? But Descartes says, no. This is about using your freedom wisely. In fact, he'd say it perfects your freedom. The greatest freedom isn't just randomly choosing or believing things blindly. The real deal is having the power to freely choose what you know is true, guided by the clear light of your own mind.
So the ultimate takeaway here is kind of startling. Your greatest gift, that infinite will that makes you a little bit like a god, is also the source of your biggest screw-ups. It's this incredibly powerful tool, but without the clear guidance of your understanding, it'll drive you straight into being wrong. So yeah, freedom? It's dangerous.
And that brings us to the final, really powerful takeaway. Being wrong isn't something that happens to you, it's something you do. It's a misuse of that amazing free will you have. So the next time you realize you've made a mistake, the question to ask isn't, why was I deceived? The real question is, why did I choose to believe that before I really truly knew?